Can I share the best thing that I've done for my business this year? This very thing has completely skyrocketed my growth. And guess what? It is not what you think. Welcome to the Jasmine Star Show, where we're going to be talking about a lot of things with a lot of people in a lot of ways. So one of the things that I wanted to do is to give you a front row seat to my mastermind. Now, inside of my mastermind, there are 7-figure founders, and everybody is there with the goal and ambition to scale to 8 figures in a way that feels joyful, in flow, powerful, and very intentional. So last year, and I made this conversation and I had this conversation here on the podcast. This is the thing that the podcast has been able to do. It just calls me out. It holds me accountable. So if you've been listening or watching the podcast for a while, last year I talked about how I was going to create blank space and how I was going to use that blank space for growth in 2025. I made a few podcast episodes about it. But one of the things that I wanted to do for this particular episode is, instead of curating this perfect storytelling narrative of all the benefits that I've done with my blank space, which is good, those frameworks are good and I'm happy to share them. What I wanted to do was to have a raw, real conversation with a real-time update. What has actually happened by me adding blank space for growth, and why I want to continue to add more blank space. It has been the thing that has skyrocketed my business, and I'm like, how did I wait so long to do this? So I'm going to be giving you a front row seat inside of the mastermind there on the day of the room, and I want to share the results that have truly blown my mind. So what you're about to see is a private insider's look into a small piece of the mastermind, and I'm going to be sharing a few personal details about what has transpired since creating this blank space for growth at the top of the year. I had prepared for this mastermind weeks ago, and then when I heard Susan talk, and then Rick repeated it around creating time audits and creating blank space, I thought, well, they couldn't have, they literally could not have prepared me for this conversation any better. So just a place of receipt. This is just an open conversation to document. I'm not going to teach anything. I think we've learned a lot today. This is just documentation of where I am in the process and how it has been such a game changer. And if I can go back and do something differently in my business, this would be it. So I want to talk about the thing that we need the most, but our actions betray we refuse to give it to ourselves. Now, we might not say I'm refusing to give it to myself, but in actuality, our actions are betraying that we are refusing to give it to ourselves. So blank space. And it seems like, well, there's going to come a point in my career and life where I'm going to give myself the blank space when I get to that point. And I just have to tell you that with every iteration of my business, it was never a priority. I am embarrassed to stand in front of you telling you that a cognitive blank space was not there. I would take vacations. I would take breaks. I did not create blank space, and those are all very different things. So it wasn't until late 2023, early 2024 that JD and I started creating distinctions between the trips that we were taking. There was a recharge and there was a rest. When we were gonna go on a rest vacation, this is margaritas if we so choose. This is copious amounts of guacamole. This is books. This is, we're gonna sleep when we want. We're gonna wake up when we want. We're gonna do spas. We're gonna just do nothing. And crazy enough, what happens? Ideas start flowing. Day 3 or 4, the ideas start flowing. Now we have recharge. Recharge means we're gonna go away and we're gonna relax. We're gonna have fun. We'll go to Napa and sip wine, but we're gonna talk. What do we need to do differently? How do we need to recalibrate? We go in with different intentions, and on the back end of both, we get the results we want, but the intentionality really changes energetically how we refuel. So in the summer of 2024, I blocked 3 weekdays off. Ooh, she's getting crazy. I was at a point where I was like, this is so much going on right now. And I looked in my calendar and I was like, I can't take 3 days off. That's not the business I wanted to run. In the summer of 24, I couldn't take 3 business days off until November. I was like, that's ugly. I don't want that. But I took those 3 days off and I said, we're going to do something, but it's not going to be work. And what happens is I started realizing early was when I created space in my calendar, they became filled with the most insane opportunities that I would not have been able to say yes to had I been committed. So in November, literally a couple weeks before, I randomly text a gentleman by the name of Brendan Burchard, somebody I have wild admiration for, literally a leader, thinks so differently. I'm very inspired, and I sent him a random text message just saying thank you. Thank you for being you. He says, what are you doing in a couple weeks? I'm gonna be in Napa. I'm having a mastermind. Come. Okay. JD, we're going to Napa. And that was it. I would not have been able to spend that time if I didn't have that blank space that months prior I had designated as being that. So I went.
And it completely changed our perspective on funnels. I even had mentioned it during one of our mastermind calls, and what we've done is we've restructured and we're re-looking at our product suite and what that looks like, and then we'll work on funnels. So we thought we'd go to funnels first, and we realized, no. In December, Katie, God bless Katie, asked all the hard questions, and she's like, we're building funnels, but the suite isn't complete. Oh, she's right. So we peeled back, but it radically changed how we're using funnels. A massive shift in our ICP and in our product suite. On the back of that event, it revealed big holes that we just hadn't had time to address. Also at that event, I had to ask myself, do I have the courage to make more space? Your word might not be courage. For me, it was courage. Because I feel safe when I'm doing. I feel safe when I'm busy. Sick, distorted, this is this normal that I accepted. And I was like, wait. The courageous decision that I am saying to myself is the opposite is the antidote. When I want to do and I'm feeling unsafe, the opposite is the antidote. Stop. So for me, it was a courageous decision. Yours might be fun. Yours might be incentivizing, whatever. For me, it was a courageous decision. So in early 2025, we're talking about just a few months ago, I had made the big, bold declaration that I am changing how I am approaching blank space. So I am new to this. I am 1 quarter in, and I am like, hell yes. When do we start adding more? Here's why. I have a monthly deep work day. In the future, I would love 2 of these. But right now, the 3rd Wednesday of every month is blocked out. Now, going back to what Susan said, I get to fill it with whatever I want. My first deep work day, it was more of like, what do I do? Oh my God. And so all of a sudden, I just took some time to journal. I took some time to ask questions about where we were with the product suite. What is our gap? When can we execute? But then also at that time, I had this like extra time. I was like, well, what do I do? And I was like, you're not getting out. I went to a co-working spot. I had to get out of my energetic space because on an extra day, I got to spend time with my daughter and have a tea party. I would love it. That's not a deep work day. So I planted my butt in this chair and I was like, well, what are you going to do? So I just started going through my phone and texting people. So I made a list and I said, people I can serve, people who maybe one day in the future I would like to ask something. I don't have anything to ask from them now, but I don't want to reach out to them when I need something. So I'm going to cultivate these relationships. So I just went through, and I literally was just scrolling through my phone. I was like, oh, at this person on each side of the list. Then I stopped and I just sent personalized messages. In the middle of sending those personalized messages, somebody responds back. And that's the thing about text messages. If you text somebody, they know you're on your phone. Yeah. So I text a gentleman by the name a person who'd been on my podcast and who had opened a lot of doors for some really cool guests who would never have said yes to the podcast. And I said, I just want to say thank you so much for seeing me where I am. I really appreciate you. I see his name pop on my screen. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, hey, how's it going? And he's like, great. Hey, I'm flying to Miami right now. I'm working on the sales page. If I send you a link, can you just go through the sales page and tell me from marketing? It's like, sure. Okay. So I go through this. I was like on the phone. I was like, okay, well, I would do this. Hey, great job, blah, blah, blah. He's like, hey, I want to make an introduction to you. I was like, thanks so much. That's it. He ends up making an introduction to a woman that works. I'm not going to talk about the company. We'll just say that they do $500 million in a specific financial vertical. And she had seen me speak by way of him. And he said, you need Jasmine to come speak. She comes to me and says, okay, what are your speaking fees? And I said, well, hold on, let's peel this back. What do you actually need? We come to find out that there is an opportunity not just to do an event, but to create education that's white labeled as from their organization as a. This would not be anything I have to promote on the outside. I'm leveraging my unique skill set, creating content specifically for this organization. And the more I heard from her, it wasn't just for marketing. She saw me doing something for sales. She saw me doing something for customer support. I was like, say less. So that's what happens on a deep work day. We just create space for the stuff we can't see when our head is in the ground. That's one deep work day. And I have a feeling that I am going to, at some point in the future, go back to some of the text message that we had been tracking, that was just not, I only did it for that one person. No. It's going to result in something in the future. So dar in Spanish is to give. And I just decided randomly, I'm going to call this a dar day for people who don't speak Spanish. So it's just like the dar day. The dar day is a time for me to balance what I deeply feel called to giving back of my time, my energy, and my wherewithal. But I kept on saying no to organizations and people that I really wanted to help another, but I was like, I'm too busy. I was like, wait, who are you if you're stepping away from the thing that you've been called to do? I believe, for me, giving a portion of my skill set and the thing that is hardest for me to give is not money. I'm very proud that JD and I are very happy to write charitable checks at the end of the year. We freaking love it, lights us up. It's not hard. To give as a sacrifice for me is time. Yeah. And if I wasn't making the time or protecting the time, I would never be able to give it. So the dar day, dar to give, I have one day a month where I tell my executive assistant, these are for the people who couldn't afford a consulting, but I really think they're doing amazing things in the world. This is for charitable organizations where I can sit and consult and give of my time that they would not be able to afford otherwise. And so do I do other tasks that day? Absolutely, but those days are protected, and if we don't book anything a week in advance of, like I'm not doing like 9 hours of DAR day calls. Normally it's about 2 hours on those DAR days, and so if we don't book anything for that DAR day a week before, then my EA will go through and put other tasks on that day. I'm just leaving the space for me to walk in integrity to what is important to me. So those exist. So there's 2 days out of the month. One full day just for me. One is a mix, depending on what's the demand. The last is the quarterly 4-weekday break. And what I have discovered is if we leave on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we can stay out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then that Monday, I'm back home, but I'm like easing in back into my work week, catching up on things. I take no tasks on those days, but Monday, I gotta go back and be like, okay, catch up day, breather, amazing. And what happens on the back of these breaks is we had anticipated, we like to travel. It is where our brain goes. JD has this dreaded word, I've mentioned it before on our calls, the B word, and he talks about a budget, and I'm like, you're cramping my style. And he's like, the long-term effects and protecting, and I was like, ugh, I'm dead. And so my response is, I'm a revenue generator. Don't give me a budget, I'll just make more. And he's like, well, if you make more, we'll invest more. And I was like, ah! So we're talking about these things, and we're just deciding to make a business decision. Let's stay local. Let's do a staycation. We will still get away from our home, but we'll stay local. And I was like, okay. And I speak at an event in Austin, Texas. I am speaking at an event. I am giving the keynote. Unbeknownst to me, there is a woman in the audience who's watching this. We meet backstage. She comes up to me, tiny, petite, Malaysian woman, speaks like a gangster and a sailor met on the street and they didn't know which way was up. And she's just talking to me about women and money and wealth and investing and family offices. And I was just like, this is amazing. And she's like, women need to take debt. And she's like, women are afraid of debt, but debt is how we grow. And there's like logical ways. And I was like, okay, pause. You need to come on my podcast. I don't even know you and you need to come on my podcast. When you're in LA, let me know. I will make it happen. And this is how you convince people. When you're in the OC, nobody wants to come to the OC ever. And I was like, LA. And I was like, I'm 45 minutes from LA. Like, okay. So anyway, so I was like, yeah, marketing, baby, marketing. So I was like, when you're in LA, let me know. And then she pauses and she's like, what are you doing on March 27th? I have those days blocked off. I was like, why? She says, I'm hosting an event with Gloria Steinem. I want you to be my +1. She's like, do you know Gloria? And I was like, I don't know Gloria, but I know Gloria Steinem, leader of the feminist movement who radically changed like philanthropy and business and women's rights in the 1960s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and up until today because she was about to turn 92 years old. I know Gloria Steinem. She's like, the event's at her house. Would you like to come? Yes. I leave that event and I was like, JD, we're going to New York. It was 2 weeks later. I am in the Austin airport on my Delta app being like, we're booking these flights. We're booking these flights. I'm going. That just wouldn't, just given my calendar, it would not have existed. Sure, I could have tried to move things, but there's some things you cannot move. And I was like, what is gonna be the energetic space for me to go and create blank space when I'm out on the trip? Because if I thought about this, if I had things and I said, you guys move everything that's like not humanly possible to move, and I'll take some meetings, I'll take that coaching, I'll take that, and I'll find a way. And so all of a sudden I find myself doing the thing that our brain always hates to do, the flipping, the flopping, the flipping, the flopping. And so am I in a place of growth and receipt? It's possible. Is it the best? These breaks, like I'm on break 2. I did one in November, did one in March, and I'm like, best thing to ever freaking happen. We go to this event, and I will say that energetically, because your girl just does not know how to not do, I was like, well, I'm gonna be in New York, I'm gonna just set up some podcast interviews. Like literally reaching out to people like 2 weeks in advance. Are you available? Land really great podcast interviews. I turned to JD before we leave. I was like, why do I always do this to myself? Like, why am I so stressed all the time? He's like, you did this. I was like, you're right, I did. And at the end of it, once it was done, and we are beautiful RH in Meatpacking District, and it's the beautiful cafe, and we have a glass of champagne, I think to myself, my God, this is the life. Nobody has to see this. Those long days and nights of eating crap, the ability to bring out an app and book a flight on a moment's notice and have a team say, go, run. And I give them literally less than 24 hours to say, I need a studio. I need to book 4 hours in that studio. I need the green room, make it happen. And then it's done. This is the freaking life. Nothing about the business had changed. I met people, I worked, I interviewed. Nothing about the business had changed, except for the fact that the infusion of energy was the very thing I needed to say that following Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, when your another tooth gets knocked out, this is why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
The blank space, the blank space, the blank space. I had mentioned I did the time audit. I hated every freaking second of it. And it revealed around 33 minutes a day of available time. I was like, 33 minutes? I can do something in 33 minutes. And those are the kind of margins that I'm running in. For many of us, it's gonna be a hell of a lot more. So, the results of this decision, I wish I had done this. Sarah, yes, this is conversation. No, Mike. And this is an open conversation. It's not a presentation, y'all. It's not a presentation.
I just want to make sure, when you said you found 33 minutes, was that of unstructured time? Like that was the blank space on a regular day when you don't have these that you were able to identify? Or was it, I just want to make sure I understand what the 33 was.
Okay, 33 minutes was, I was overestimating some things that it was taking me time to do something versus another. So I had allocated on an Asana task. I had my EA allocate times, and it's just like 10 minutes to record a promotional story for group coaching on the inside of Social Curator. I'm doing that in like 2. But I love that 10 minutes. I'm like, I love an 8-minute margin. Right now, there will come a day that I am not playing in the 8-minute game. There will come a day. That day is not today. So every 8 minutes, I started picking up things. I'm like, I can do this faster. I need to get better with quoting my time. Yeah, thank you for that question. Thank you. Wish I had done this earlier. Please do this as soon as possible. So deep work days. I built a bridge for a pipeline to an ICP. And when I say please understand that this is on the back of plenty of time and conversations with the team. But anytime, recently, a couple days ago, I met Kara for the first time in person, and we were talking about systematizing her sales. And I'm like, you gotta do it first. Like, do it first to turn it over to the sales team. And so now we're looking at things in our business that we're like, I just can't wait to bring this person in. If you have not done it and mastered it and know it. Now, I understand that when we think about this myopically, like, do I think that a CEO of a $50 million company is doing it first? No. Let's just be real. When you're scaling past 2 to 5, you're still doing it first. And then you're finding somebody to replace it. That's just the truth of it. And so I would just definitely say, hey, let's get in and let's do this. And so as we were thinking out a pipeline, there was too many big question marks that only the CEO could answer. I didn't need to have a team meeting. I needed to answer them, and I needed time for us to do that. We are going to be launching a program in June called the Consistent 10K. It's going to be focusing on getting people to be making consistent $10,000 per month. It is our system. It is our approach. We've co-created it with MemberUp. I sit as an advisor to MemberUp, and so we're creating pipelines where we have a business that wins and they have a business that wins. And it's using Instagram DM to land and cultivate clients. This is just the back end. We teach you the methodology. You show up consistently. I will be doing a training twice a month. We're doing all of the curriculum up front. I only do coaching twice a month. Katie will be doing coaching twice a month. The first million framework. So when we went back to December and realized that the pipeline was missing, we had a $59 offer, and then we had a $2,000 offer, and then we had a $25,000 offer. The gaping holes between that, I was like, okay, if my goal is to create female millionaires, and it is, I gotta build the pipeline. So what you'll see is the $59 offer. You will see YBLE as the possibility of being evergreen, but we're not sure if that's in direct alignment. But then what we're really gonna push to is the consistent 10K. We wanna get them past the 6-figure line. The first million framework will be for people who are doing over 500,000 trying to scale to $1 million. We have the frameworks, we know the patterns, and what they'll be doing is going through a curriculum on the front end. I will be doing once a month programming in that. Katie will be doing once a month programming within that. So the quarterly break, I went out of order, I got very carried away. This is all, let's talk about Olivella. So Olivella was the organization that co-hosted with Gloria Steinem. What is Olivella? I had no idea what they were. They are a marketplace for female fashion. So let's say you're a fashion designer, you're a fashion designer, and you're a fashion designer. I am Olivella, and I come to you and say, I would like to sell a few of your pieces on my marketplace, where when people buy from my marketplace, 20% of the proceeds will be going to female-funded businesses and or female-run philanthropy. So what they have built is a tech stack that facilitates this. And so I got into the room with women who were writing checks, multi-million-dollar checks to organizations, and people who were running family offices. Just as a complete side note, a family office gets money from wealthy families and invests it on their behalf. Multiple family offices means that they're aggregating a group of wealthy families saying, we're gonna take your money and we're gonna act like a micro venture capital firm. We wanna scale your returns, and we do that by aggregating money. Now, by 2030, there will be a 2/3 shift of finances from men to women. 2030, a 2/3 shift of finances from men to women because of the decline of boomers. Boomers had a tendency of marrying women who are about 5 years younger. Men are passing, their wealth is moving to the women, which most women would say, hooray, except for the fact that women are getting money, they're not managing money. So it's really important for women to be sitting in family offices, because it's not like men are like the she-woman hater club. They just don't actually understand how women would use an offer. So what they started realizing was that women who were sitting in family offices could see the use case and say, this is really incredible. But what wasn't happening was the women who were sitting in family offices were creating a network effect of other women in family offices. They're very rare. Finding a woman leading a family office is like finding a unicorn. You find a unicorn. So what they did for Olivella, Gloria Steinem, and the Billionaire Network came together and they said, we're connecting family offices. I was not supposed to be in that room. Like, I'm not even like pretending like, oh, I'm not supposed to be in there. Like, factually, I wasn't. And then all I knew was that I was sitting there and I was like, I'm supposed to be in this room. I don't know why. The answer will come to me. The answer will come to me. I was supposed to be in that room. And so it's like, if I play like with the dream case scenario, which never works, but dream case scenario is I get to sit as an advisor and equity holder for tech, SaaS components for female-run businesses, and I have networks of family offices that I can call and say, can you put me in contact with this person? Let me go here. Because once the deal flow starts between family offices, you get the momentum. And I thought to myself, I'm supposed to be in this room. So if we know that blank space is what we want and what we need, the question is, why don't we carve space for it on our calendars? And so that's the only conversation I wanted to have. I'm not coming from a place of authority. I am not coming from a place of an expert. I am simply saying, I've done this and it is freaking life-changing for me and my family. So I was listening to a podcast with a behavioral scientist, and he had said, if we wanted to do something, we would. Dang. It's like the shortest clip that just stabbed me in the heart. And I had just simply said, if I wanted to, I would. So not to get like super psychological, but why do we not want to stop? For me, not for you. For me, stopping felt unsafe. Stopping felt irresponsible. Stopping felt like I was letting people down or not working as hard as I could, so that my whole goal was to look back and say, I did everything I could to make it work. As if action dictates an outcome. It does to a certain extent. And sometimes inaction is wise. It's not smart, it's wise. And I think that it took me a minute to realize that. So, do we not want to sit and be? Do we not want to pause and look from the outside in? I think that's why we like these in-person events, because it forces us to look at it from a different perspective, and it forces other people to look at it from a different perspective. But if we know how valuable this is, how do we, if I gave you a fish and you're eating here in Newport Beach, that's amazing, but I think a good leader will teach you how to fish. Like, ladies, take time to look at your business as if you're at a mastermind of one. Are we afraid of what we're going to see? I did a business program for Latino business owners at Stanford University. And it was one of the best things I could have ever have done. It was really incredible. It just took so much time. I was going to school like 5 hours a week, and then I'd go to in-person events. At the beginning of the program, they made us write a post-mortem, which means at the end of this program, 6 months, at the end of this program, I need you to write a reason why your business will go under in a year. I was like, this is a downer. Oh. And you had to turn it into your mentor, and it had to be done. You had to predict the downfall of your company. I did it. White space that I realized, what a freaking beautiful gift to make the hard decision to put yourself out of business. What a gift. So I treat this community like the cherished things they are. I love you, I will serve you, I will let you be here as long as humanly possible. But make no mistake, this is a linchpin to get us to where we want to go. Unless we decide to rebrand, that will always be on the table. It could always be on the table. It will not be rebranded as a social media tech company. It will be rebranded of what I think the future will be. Community, community, community. We know where we're going. And we're very thankful that these people are going to be here to help us get there. So, would we ever admit to being addicted to the high of doing instead of the painful, sometimes painful, state of being. Here we be, and sometimes that changes how we show up. So what if doing makes us feel safe? This is questions I started asking myself. I wonder, what if the doing, the addiction of doing, what if being reveals the underlying fear of seeing the reality of what's not working? Then they don't want to end on a bummer. We're not ending, we got tomorrow. Okay, we have the upper tomorrow. This is time for us to have like real conversations. We see the writing on the wall. Michelle said it best. We're all afraid of AI.
Some more than others.
But we all are. And so this is a space to be. This is a space for us to think. This is for us to write our own postmortems. So blank space has forced me to take a sword to my business. The kindest thing I could do is to strip everything that is not working and double down on what is. And that feels scary. At lunch, I had mentioned a few things of what happened when we made the decision not to focus on social curator, leveraging my brand and what it meant. It meant not just a retraction of what we were doing for acquisition and growth, but it also meant that I wasn't being asked to come on podcast. It also meant that the speaking events that I was like multiple six figures of revenue for speaking was now declining because I wasn't positioning myself as a social media authority. It was like a whole domino effect. And as you feel it going down, JD would say things that I was just like, not now. He's like, we're going down more. We haven't stopped. And I'm just like, okay. If we map to the vision that we see in the future, it helps us navigate the decisions we have to make today. The workshop that you did with Susan today is for yourself. Make no mistake. It's for us to educate our team what our vision is, but it's for us to get hella clear on what it is. Because we're going to have to make decisions in the blank space that force us to reconcile who we are and where we want to go. So, what has happened in the first quarter? We let go of 2 teammates. We replaced them with AI, and we have a VA offshore who's doing quality control, the human in the loop. I make no bones and no apologies. I feel like go and be blessed and do well. They have great jobs now. We have increased our profitability by that decision, by saying, how do we take a sword to our own business? Hiring an offshore part-time VA for QC. Hired a part-time unicorn PM with extensive digital marketing and content. I could not believe we came across this woman. And here's how you know you have the makings of a unicorn. In the past, when we work with team members, we would send them looms. We would say, here's your SOP. Here's how we train you. Now we're gonna watch you do it. Then we would have looms going back and forth saying what was missing from there. And what happened was the longer you kept sending somebody a loom, you're like, is it me? Is it me? It must be me. No. This is how you know the makings of a unicorn is after the 3rd loom, what we saw was a marked increase, 60%, where we were saying, okay, this is what's wrong, send a loom. Okay, less. This was wrong, less. So now we got her up into a very, very, very close mark. We're like, great. We have so much less check-in. That's a sign of the making of a unicorn. And that happened, she hasn't even been up this night. No, okay, in alignment. We're gonna get more done for less the cost. We're hiring a unicorn, and we know what she does in 4 hours a day is take somebody else about 10. Makes sense. So the blank space allows you to stand on the outside and see the business outside of you from an entirely different perspective. It is because of this love that you have to be willing to cut what is not serving the bigger vision. I have no advice. I have no stake in the game. I am simply walking you through the journey that I am on right now, letting you know it is not easy, and it is the absolute right thing I know I need to do for the business. Take what you will, but please understand that these decisions we make now are going to impact where we're gonna go. So, my questions to you, I don't need an answer. Will you take time each month to reflect? Even if you're starting with 30 minutes, y'all. Commit. Will you take a quarterly break for blank space? Could we do that? Even if it's just a Friday off and take that weekend to dedicate. Will you ask me your questions? You know, going through this mastermind, I realized that some people feel comfortable asking questions and some people don't. And I started to ask myself, was it about me not being welcoming enough? What could I do to get better? And so I'm not pontificating, I'm not pleading. I am simply saying if anybody has a suggestion, not now, later, anonymously, leave it on my car windshield, I don't care. I want you to ask questions. I am an open book, and I am available and here to you. The nature of this mastermind was to say, help me help you, which is why we would send Slack messages, and sometimes people would not respond or take a couple weeks. So we literally have reminders to send y'all text messages, just check in. This is why when I got a random Slack message early in the morning from Paige, I was doing my makeup, I'm like, I'm just gonna call her, because it's like, pick the phone, and she's like, hello? I was like, you just sent a Slack message. Why are you calling me? I was like, because we can get this done in 5 minutes, let's go. Let's go. We have a month left. I don't know what I need to say to anybody to say, please, ring me for the lemon I am. Because I have an unattachment. So we're closing. Last night, I said, JD, I'm on this new evolution of just being. And I think you're gonna be so proud of me because tomorrow I'm just gonna be. I'm just gonna be in all of it. I'm not gonna do. And I said, you know what I was doing? I woke up this morning and I said, okay, I've been thinking of all the things that I'm doing to get a specific outcome. And so I said, no more doing, you're evolved, so I'm gonna be. And there, because I wake him up at like 4:30 in the morning, he's like talking with his eyes closed. He's like, no, you gotta do and be. I was like, oh my God, this is a whole new concept. I don't know how to mix the two. I'm trying to evolve and I feel like I'm working backwards. And he says, the process of doing in a place of service is different than doing in a place of belonging or desire or proof. You must do to serve because that is what this business transaction is. And he says, but the outcome is different. Change the outcome and the energy changes. I will be honest, I had an outcome. And I realized, if I change the outcome to serving in a place where you go on or you stay, I've won. I've won. I've won and I have won. So please, I don't know what I can say to you, but for the next couple days, ask me every freaking question. And for the next month, ask me every freaking question. I don't know how to say it anything else other than I'm hell-bent on seeing your business win. So if it was ever me in the last 7 months that led, she's like, oh, I think she's busy. I am. And you want to know what? If you want something done, give it to a busy person. You know that.
You have time blocked on your calendar
every day.
to answer master.
Thank you. Oh my God. Okay. I was trying to make myself look super nice. No, she's right. We literally block time and I go in and there's nothing there. No problem. I just want to make it very clear that if I had been somehow misleading in the last 7 months, no excuses. Please. I want to serve and I want to serve you well and I want to wish you freaking best as you go. Because in the future, on your path to becoming a millionaire, I want you to look back and be like, I just want to tell Jasmine, I just want to reach out to Jasmine. I want to create deal flow for Jasmine. Yes and amen. My outcome is to serve. Help me serve you however we can. JD and Katie and Susan and Rick, I've opened up these networks. Ask, and create the blank space. The more blank space you have, the better questions you create. Thank you, guys.
Whew. Okay, welcome back. That was a lot, and there was a lot of moving pieces, but a lot of people spoke up and into what the process was for me. I can't tell you how good this has been, how refreshing the process has become. And now I have people on the team asking me, so Jasmine, when's your next blank space time? Because in those moments that I come back with fresh ideas, with new perspectives, and with a really grounded, rooted version of what the vision should be for the future. Now, I'm talking about my mastermind, but it is not open for enrollment. Just as a reminder, if you would like to sign up for the wait list, you can go to jasminestar.com/mastermind. If you are a 7-figure female founder looking to get into a room with brilliant other founders as they scale to 8 figures. I want to say thank you for listening. I want to say thank you for watching, and thank you for being here, a part of this very cool, amazing, brilliant, strong, courageous community of the Jasmine Star Show.